Welcome back to the Grease Board. It's NHL 96 you're seeing on your screen for Super Nintendo. I remember it, do you? Maybe you don't remember that one. Maybe you remember Sega Genesis with the blue ice signature style, but we're actually playing the PC version, and it looks to me, having booted it up once, to be much worse, actually. Here it is, the disk drive we got for PC CD-ROM. That's Scott Stevens and Steve Yzerman. Steve Yzerman, that's a Wheel of Fortune puzzle waiting to happen. NHL 96, it says made in Canada, but I think on the disc it said made in the United States. EA Canada made it in the United States. I don't know. If it's in the game, it's in the game. The classic tagline. So here's the $2.99 tag. We'll flip it over for you and look at the jewel case on the inside. Maybe you can see my face. I don't know. It's a nice looking CD, a CD-ROM of its time, you could say, with the blue and the shimmeriness and the, stretched out image. There it says produced by EA Canada, but then it says made in the USA. So that's a little bit confusing. I don't know what 7540 means either. And we have to look at the controls because when we played FIFA, we didn't know anything. We're probably going to skip most of this. We can't use a controller because, again, this is installed in a Windows 98 program, so let's get it going.
You think you got a game? Mine's a stick-toting, rocket-launching, freezer-burning, glass-cleaning, blurry little twine, dentin', boardy, crunch, top shelf with the peanut butter, stand-em-up, mucking, ice lounging, drop passing, puck extracting, blue line bouncing, bring it on, crash dummy, hard to keep up with, crease monkey kind of game. You want some of that? Bring your best game. NHL 96, the ultimate judge on any of these home arenas. If it's in the game, EA Sports, it's in the game.
They don't make commercials like that anymore. I wanted to point out this frame because it looked pretty bad and kind of what I remembered from when I booted it up. But a frame towards the end made it look much better than I thought I remembered. Maybe PS1 graphics, but let's go ahead and watch the Sega Genesis commercial and see what they had to offer.
NHL 96 has stonewalling new goalie moves. You'll probably need to change the way you shoot. NHL 96, bring your best game.
Bullet sounds, gun references, we cannot have that. That should be illegal. Do you remember the blue ice? I do. I know, just from turning on the game for a few seconds, it does not have these goalie saves. It doesn't look anything like it. Let's go ahead and boot it up through our virtual Windows 98 thing we've got going here. My ears! That's rough right there. Let's see how this intro goes. I can feel that through the sound blasters of 1998. Is this going to be Red Dead Redemption or something booting up here? What's going on? Not gonna lie, that was pretty awesome. I don't think they put that kind of care into games anymore. It just, I don't know, maybe it's just a memory I'm having that makes me feel better, but are we going into a demo here? Probably. I'm not sure what's happening. But it makes me feel a lot better to see a game like that start that way and, you know, have that edginess to it almost. All right, it's still not clear what is happening as of yet. Jocelyn Tebow, nice. We're fast forwarding through the magic of this. Okay, we're restarting now, apparently. That is almost hardcore Daft Punk-esque or something like that, but let's restart the game here.
NHL Hockey 96.
All right, let's check out the options. The joystick, not possible apparently. Mouse left or right. I'm concerned at the amount of controls that we've got here. Speech on, music on, organs gotta be on, crowd and sound effects have to be on. Now, I remember playing NHL 1998 as we go through these options with the epic off and on sounds. And I remember playing it with my cousin, and realizing that the computer couldn't really handle any of the graphics. We're hoping with a modern computer, playing this through some sort of 1998 Windows Redux, that it can handle any of these camera angles that it throws at us, even on high res. That's right, high resolution. We're going to go through and look at some of the stats here. There seems to be a lot of detail. Season, playoffs, league, conference, Western. Let's click on a player or whoever we can here. We can't click on that outright. The Blackhawks. Let's check the Leafs out. Okay, we're not sure what we did here. This appears to be league stats. Why is it 48? 1994-95 stats. Okay, this is actually the year after the lockout. And look it up to make sure. I thought this was maybe, you know, I was like, Mario Lemieux's year where he comes back from cancer. No, this is after the lockout, where it went until January, I believe. And look at Jágr still leading the league in points in 48 games season. I think the top person had 51 games, was it? Let's go ahead and look at Jágr here. They got the Don Russ hockey card. His stats are through the roof. You can switch it to get that beautiful, beautiful mullet, of course. His stats are wild. Who's next? Alexei Zhamnov. He's looking good, guys. He's looking like a good Russian. We can switch his stats up to... You know, I'm so jealous. I don't know who I'm jealous of, but I wish there was this kind of care gone into that was put into modern games. We've got Owen Nolan here, who is, of course, a beast. Ray Shepard. Eric Lindros. Was it the big ticket, maybe they called him? But his stats are out of control. Looking good with the frosted tips there. Theoren Fleury, he might have been drinking, but damn, his statistics were good. He's a known Patriot now. What I was saying is that you can... Brett Hull, that slap shots through the roof, that shot power. What you can compare now to regular games is that they don't go through this much detail. When was the last time you saw a game where you could see the hockey card of the player and then just his file photo? I've never seen that other than this game. I've never seen the detail into going back into their stats. You know, maybe you can prove me wrong on that, but as far as just the simple presentation here, as long as this was updated to a modern game, modern graphics, the text obviously is really old looking as we look at Sakic's awesome stats. If this was just updated for a modern game, it would blow anything out of the water. You've got the Don Russ in the top left corner. You've got the multiple pictures for the players. You've got all their stats, their abilities stacked into a bar form graph, and then you can go through all of their stats. And even in this menu, where you can just organize it and it's just available from the main menu. I don't know of any other games where it's just like, here, check out the stats in the main menu. I want to look at a couple teams here. Let's look at the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim. They were not the Anaheim Ducks, nor the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. They were the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim. Great roster they had here. Just to bottom out, we got your Steve Ruchins and your Joe Sackos. I remember those names. In that, you have Guy Hebert, of course. I want to go and check out, let's see, the Red Wings since they were first. Look at this team. Fedorov, Cicerelli, of course, even Ray Shepard, Steve Yzerman. This is such an insane team. And, you know, it's a shame that they had lost half of the season there. And you look at these Nordiques, and they're just stacked with Sakic and Owen Nolan. Wendell Clark, of course, we're looking at here, who's a great fighter. You know, I don't know if you guys have ever heard this, but in Major League Baseball, when they had the lockout, maybe it was 2 years before this or a year before this, the theory, the conspiracy theory was that they did not want the Montreal Expos to win a title. They did not want them to win the World Series. I think looking at the Quebec Nordiques and maybe knowing that they were going to go to Colorado, they didn't want the Nordiques to win a title. Reminder that Sundin was on this team the year before. I think we should use them against Detroit. Let's check out the rules. Injuries on, of course. Goalie control's got to be off. We're not playing 20 minutes. I don't know what speed game is. Let's remove 2-line passes because that's just going to slow us down. And icing. Let's line changes have to be automatic. I don't want to figure that out. It can't be very complicated if there's only 2 buttons, but I don't want to try to figure out what the other buttons are with a mouse, you know?
From Detroit, we present the NHL preseason game between the Quebec Nordiques and the Detroit Red Wings.
All right, we got the matchups here with the Stars looking good. Don't want to talk over the announcer, Vernon and Tebow. Word to the wise, I had a Jocelyn Tebow poster growing up. Starting lineups. This is cool, man. I don't know why it is. Why it feels so much better. We're missing a photo there for the right D-man on Detroit. But I don't know why it feels like it's so much better. Okay, maybe, you know, the font here could use some work. And maybe the crowd. But again, this is made in 1995. So I think that maybe we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves about how great it was. Okay, this is very difficult. I feel like I'm sliding around, maybe literally on ice. But with this mouse, it's very... How can I say this eloquently? Terrible and frustrating already, and we are just a mere seconds in. You can see the cursor there. They've scored immediately. Great. So what I was trying to say before I got mercilessly beaten up upon is that you can see the cursor there above the player, and that's supposed to denote not only where you're skating but where you're passing to. So I don't know if you can skate in a single direction while passing in a different direction. Again, this is 1995, but this is not, you know, NHL 95, 94... on Super Nintendo and Sega. I don't remember it being this difficult or bad. It's got to be the mouse, and I wonder who was... My wrist is hurting already. Who was playing this game with a brace on the wrist from the carpal tunnel they were bound to get and being like, this is great, I want to keep going. Maybe they had to have used the keyboard or a little controller, but I couldn't get a controller set up with this. Uh-oh, I'm going to get scored on again. Bad pass. One-timer. Tebow, big save. The floatiest of floater shots, it's not going to work. I think we're going to get a face-off here. We can make the guys hustle to the line here. This is very difficult. You know, in the FIFA game that we did a while back, the goal was to score. I guess the stated goal of this video is this the worst sports game ever? I'm feeling like it is right now. But the goal, of course, side note, B-plot, as they call it in show business, I think, or B-story, is to get a goal. You know, I don't want to go through a couple hours of recording and making a video and completely shit the bed and not score anything at all. I want to, you know, flex my muscles of video game prowess, at least a little bit coming down the wing here. Can we get a pass off? How is he? Come on, jam it in.
After the first period, the score is Detroit 1, Quebec 0. Vyacheslav Fetisov, 2 minutes for slashing.
We've got a power play here. Special teams, we got to figure out how to use it. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to amount to anything, really. You know, the face-offs leave a lot more to be desired. I'm finding it hard to time the referee's ultra-fast motion of dropping the puck and directing it to the place I want to go at the same time. This mouse control is a mess. As you can see, I'm having trouble even getting it out of my zone or picking it up. We're going to have to play this next big flopping save. Maybe it does have the saves that, you know, the console version has, but it just doesn't. Maybe it looks better, maybe it looks worse. I really like that graphic for the power play in the bottom right. We need to bring back stuff like that, where it's really simple. And obviously this game feels like it doesn't have to have the time on the screen at all times. I disagree with that. Power play has been almost completely useless, and I'm upended. Where's the call on that one? I forgot that the ads on the boards were an option, but those have always added authenticity, even though it obviously benefits the publisher of the game. We've got NHL on Fox, which is pretty sweet. Stats, I think I saw the Don Russ logo as well. I mean, it puts the minute up when you're in the last minute of the play, the timer up in the last minute of the play. That's not nothing. I think that we should have it somewhere on the screen, as I completely pressed the wrong button there, as I've been shown to do, but I dumped him. I dumped him like a sack of potatoes on that one, and I might pay for it. This is a breakaway. He passes it for some reason, and the time runs out. I got to applaud that play there by Detroit. As the great James Woods says, don't jerk me around. We got a big slapper. Stopped by Mike Vernon. Stanley Cup winning Mike Vernon. 1995-96 would be when this came out, right? If it's NHL 96, then it came out in 95 for the 96 season. I believe that's when Detroit wins its first cup, if I'm not correct. And then they win back-to-back, or would this be the year that the Rangers actually won? They won before that. I always get confused with the numbering on that, of how they say who won what year. You know, are they the 95 champions when the season started? Are they 96 champions when it actually happened? I think that's why the Super Bowl, they just do Super Bowl numbers. Because when you start to get it to details like that, it gets confusing. Tebow came up huge so far today with 2 minutes left to go. We're not giving him any help. We have, you know, one of the best teams in the league. We're just not able to put it together. The clock's moving really fast on me here. 23, 22, 21, 20. I'm not sure. They didn't have the slowdown for the last minute back then. Not even in the last 10 seconds. We're going to lose here very, very slowly.
The final score is Quebec 0, Detroit 1. Here are the 3 stars of tonight's game.
So first impressions, I mean, at the end here, the presentation's good. Again, if we could just advance on this, then we'd have an amazing game for modern times. We're going to play Leafs versus Mighty Ducks of Anaheim this time. I'm going to play as the Leafs with the keyboard and hope this is easier to control. Don't you love that Anaheim Ducks logo? Don't you love the 90s-ness of this? Let's just update a few things. It's pretty one-sided here. The checking's the same, but the rest of my team... Guy Hebert and Felix Potvin. The French are really dominating in goalkeepers these days. We've got Thibault, of course. Patrick Waugh would have been around in these days. Sundin's looking straight out of central casting for Saved by the Bell at the time. And I don't know who that is for the Ducks, but he's got a killer mullet. We're familiar with the Leafs of the time, being a defected Leafs fan. Alright, so these controls from the keyboard are immediately a lot better. I'm having an easier time turning because you can sort of hold one button as you press the next. It's still, you know, it doesn't feel like you're a guy who knows how to skate. It feels like you're a guy who's not in control of his skates, and they sort of just have wheels that are turning independent of him. Try to bank it in, the classic Sundin. I get knocked on my face for that. What is this, ref? Can we get a call here, maybe? This is the rough and tough Ducks from the bottom of the conference. We can't be just giving them these calls. We can't just ignore that. Potvin with a big save. We're going to try to work something here if we can get the puck. Can't get it out of the zone. One-timer attempt. Goes far and wide. We're going to try to deke through here. Backhand, no dice. And the goalie. Is that going to be an interference call? What's the call here? As it hits the post, he comes right back. Dougie Gilmore 2 minutes for tripping. I don't recall doing that. Mike Craig, my guy Mike Craig, 2 minutes for goalie interference. Remember the Doug Gilmore commercials where he said got milk? And I hope I could find this. And he's got a milk mustache. You know, back in the day, political side note here, they really pushed drinking milk on the children of the United States so hard. And, you know, I feel like they never mentioned there was sugar in the milk, but you were just supposed to think that it's strong bones, makes you healthy. There's literally nothing that could go bad if you just drink excessive amounts of milk, which we all did, of course, with cookies and cakes and everything. Why not just have a glass of milk? It's good for you, they said. Fast forward X amount of years until you're an adult. There's lots of sugar and fat in that, and I'm not knocking milk, it's great, but why do we need so much sugar in everything? It pushes people to the milks of almonds and oats and such. Just take out the sugar, we're all fine. We're going to get a goal this period. One-timer. No, couldn't do it. Let's pass it around. Let's play the puck here. That's offside. It's got to be no call. All right, then. We've got to control the puck, play some real old-time hockey here. We're trying to dish out the hits. We're trying to just dominate this team, this Anaheim team, because they're not up to par. They're not up to snuff. He gets absolutely wrecked. Oh, don't dribble it in. Interfering with my trash talk on the check. We figured out how to skate faster. You just double tapping the arrows, and that seems to go faster for the player, but we still can't score for some reason. How are you going to find your jockstrap after that one? Let's get a one-timer. Nobody's there for that. Nobody's home. We still got control. Oh, we're just going to waste possession here. This is going on 5 periods now, almost completely without a goal. Potvin doesn't even want to get it for us. He's so disgusted. That's too bad. Regroup, everybody. Let's regroup in the locker room. Don't let them tell you that you don't deserve it. Right off the draw here. What do we have? No, is it in? I can't tell. No, it's not. Oh my goodness. We're getting closer and closer. It's still a nothing game. I don't know why the EA Sports logo would be on the ice, especially in that spot. But we digress. We didn't have room after the Donruss ads, it seems. Can we do this? That's in. What's the red thing? Is that the siren? I don't know. But Sundin, baby. You know, that's a hell of a celebration. And then the disappearing afterwards is very, you know, David Blaine-esque. Maybe not even David Blaine. Maybe a little bit Chris Angel mind freak. I love Chris Angel, but we all do know that he actually just hired actors for his bits, right? That's somehow onside. We've got something to do here. It's still offside somehow. They're going to take it from me. They better not score. If I lose this game, he's friggin' flattened. Speed burst up the ice. Pad stack. Oh my god, I misjudged the game. They do have the pad stack in it. Glove save by Guy Bear. Face-offs have really slowed the game down here. No wonder they did a lockout. That's a big hit. It's a fight. Oh my goodness, what do I do? I've got a jab. I think I've got a left jab. I like that I can dance backwards. I'm getting pummeled to death. Still dancing. Jerseyed partially, and I'm done. Joe Sacco has beat the living crap out of me. Not sure how I'm going to go home and face my family after that. Maybe the few $100,000 a year will be worth it. What is stats, by the way? Todd Gill, one of my guys. Big, tall defenseman from back in the day. He's gingerly making his way into the penalty box. I really just don't want to blow this game. That's a big slap shot. I don't know if that was Korea. Potvin comes way out to the side of the crease. We're a minute left. 3-on-2 rush. Can we get something going here? Big clapper somehow blocked point blank. Don't know where the puck is currently, but I'll dump that guy anyways. 37 seconds left. Period 3, which is a weird way to say it. Usually it's third period, but maybe we're being grammatically correct here. Let's just try to finish this game off with a lot of hits. 30. I look up and 20 seconds have gone by. Don't know what happened there. We win. Big news out of Toronto, or I guess out of, you know, the Arrowhead Pond in Anaheim. The Maple Leafs are for real.
Anaheim 0.
As we look at the 3 stars here, which are all Toronto Maple Leafs, I like the presentation again. Maybe it should show a little bit more of their stats. But final impressions here is that, it's the setup and the visuals I like a lot, okay? And there's a lot that can be said for a game that clearly took a lot of time in the setup. The sound is perfect. The music is perfect. The options and everything is laid out nicely. I love all of that. And like I said a couple times before, if this can be updated for a modern audience, for modern graphics and everything that comes with a modern game, you'd have an amazing, amazing thing on your hands. Is this the worst sports game of all time? I think the one that I've ever played, yeah. I think that for the PC version handles far less intuitively, even for Super Nintendo and Genesis days. It's far worse than the console versions. It's almost impossible to control. And if you look at these controls on the manual here, it's like press left click and then right click and then right click again to poke check, press both buttons at the same time and unpress one to dive. I don't know, but the controls are abysmal, and you would think that there'd be more mapping for it, but there's actually not. So for that reason, the visual reasons, and just the clunkiness and everything, I'm going to have to say it is the worst sports game I've ever played. All time, I can't necessarily say, but compared to the SNES and Genesis versions, dumpster fire it.